Hi, Fashion Dolls. It is Wednesday, October 8th, and this is show 888. I made a faux pas yesterday when I did my interview with, uh, when I did my interview yesterday, I said 888. It was actually 887. But welcome, Fashion Dolls. Welcome, 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 welcome. Give me one sec. I apologize about that. Let me send this to my very special guest. He is an actor and artist, and he will be joining me today here in the Dollhouse. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a warm welcome to my very special guest. Shout outs to my brother K Tooks, host of the K Tooks Spot. Make sure you guys please go and check out the K Tooks Spot. We have a couple collaborations coming, so y'all make sure y'all stay tuned for that. I hope y'all are loving the new look. I told y'all it was going to be a switch up. Yesterday I gave y'all chocolate highlights. Now today I'm giving y'all that beautiful passion space pink mixed with a hint of purple. I had to change it up and give y'all something different. Welcome as you're just coming in. Welcome to the Dollhouse Fashion Dolls. Welcome, 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 welcome. Let me share this live with him again so that I can get him in here. Give me one sec. Having to do it this way because y'all know IG trips. IG trips sometimes. All right? But we're going to get it right. We're going to get it right. I hope y'all are doing awesome this Wednesday. Nothing new in the news except for all of the foolishness going on from this regime. And I'll touch on that on my colleague's panel. So y'all make sure y'all follow my colleague Alvin Tit for Tat, this and that. So without further ado, let's welcome to the Dollhouse, Sterling Gathers. And hopefully it works. I pray. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. Today is show 888. So again, the journey continues. There we are. Welcome.
How's it going?
I'm doing wonderful. Welcome to the Dollhouse. It's such a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you.
So before we kick off this interview, how has 2025 been for you thus far?
It's been consistent. Busy, but fortunately very consistent, and just staying active on both sides of the world, including job, entertainment, personal life, you know, all that good stuff.
Absolutely. Balance. And that was something that I touched on yesterday in yesterday's show is finding that balance and making sure that you are making multiple incomes, which we'll touch on later. But you are currently residing where my brother is. Is it true? Let me know. Charleston, South Carolina.
Yes, ma'am. From a town, Somerville. That's about like 45 minutes from downtown, but yeah, I do consider myself Charleston. Yes.
Come on, SC. So you know about the Geechee culture and everything. I'm currently in South Carolina, but I'm in a different part. I'm in Bamberg, South Carolina, which is not far, but I have a brother in Charleston and I have a brother in North Carolina. And the majority of my family is down here where I'm at in this part of South Carolina, but everybody's scattered out. So I
Yeah.
definitely know what it's like to have family down here in the Carolinas. So let's start at the beginning of your journey. Now, you're not only an actor, but you are an artist as well too. So who was the first person that you saw? Give me 1 minute. Let me get rid of this troll out of here. We're not doing that.
Yeah. This is my first time doing this like Instagram live, so this is very interesting.
Yes, such a pleasure to have you here. There we go. There we go. There we are. Now we're back. You were saying,
Um, I guess if you were asking like just the start of my journey, I was
yes,
always told that, I should definitely, get into acting because I've always been like that funny guy in the classroom. Um, so I started out at the age of 23. I don't know if you ever heard of a mother agency called Industry Direct.
yeah,
Um, Her name's Nina Nesbitt, and please bear with me because I'm not always good with names. But that's kind of how I was able to get started my journey. Um, they have this thing called and don't quote me on this, but it's the IMTAs. They hold it once a year in New York. Then they also hold it also once a year in LA, and I went to New York. It was held in Times Square. Pretty much all the talent all over the world, would pretty much go to these two conventions, and that would be the main goal is to get signed, right? So eventually, I had four considerations: one from New York, one from Florida, I think another one from Atlanta, and then the last one was back at home, called Coastal Talent, and luckily, I was able to sign with them. Been signed with Coastal Talent for about almost 8 years now. And I've been pretty much doing this whole acting thing for about almost 10. So I've been doing it for a while. Very interesting journey. On the music, I actually just started. So far I only have about like three songs, and I just got signed to Bacon Entertainment Records. So that's
Congrats.
a Thank you. That's a independent record label that is also in Somerville. So it just kind of felt right that everything is close to home.
And keyword you said right there as it pertains to record labels being independent. We'll touch on that later. But who are some of your musical influences growing up?
Definitely Michael Jackson, Usher.
Oh,
I'm a '90s baby, so definitely remembering that like early '90s, mid 2000s sound. Not saying anything's wrong with the music nowadays, but I think that's where my motivation and that type of field comes from because I want to try to bring some of that magic back, you know. So yeah, the genre was
and
kind of like a little mix of like rock and rap, if that makes sense, and a little bit of
that
pop.
nostalgia. Yes, and we touched on that yesterday as well too, which is what people are looking for, that nostalgia. So now you work in film, you've worked in television, you've worked on the stage as well too. Which do you prefer as an artist, as a creative? Because it's so many lanes, so many
Yeah,
lanes. You don't.
I've even, if you see my page, I've dabbled in like, comedy a bit. I did skits for a while just to kind of get my feet wet. Honestly, I definitely love the film and television aspect because that's where you make the royalties. So if I could definitely stay consistent in those fields, I would definitely continue to do that. But honestly, I'm pretty much a kind of like a unicorn. Whatever's available, I definitely go after it and try to conquer and achieve it in that type of fashion.
Absolutely, absolutely. And brother, I made you a moderator, so I don't know if K Tooks is still here. Shout outs to my brother K Tooks, host of the K Tooks Spot. Make sure you guys go and check him out and subscribe. Now, one thing I've also read about you is you love challenging roles. And I've sat down with a lot of actors. And one thing I can say for certain is that a lot of actors have to take on roles where they're stepping outside of their comfort zone. For you,
Yes.
is it an easy task? Because you have to go to a place you've never been before. And I touched on this with my guest yesterday, Chris Chris Faden. And he was saying, taking risks. The whole show yesterday was based on taking risk and stepping outside of your comfort zone and doing things you wouldn't typically do. So for
Hmm.
you, is it an easy task, or do you have to kind of be like, okay, because I know you have to separate yourself away from the character. You are
Oh
not the
yeah.
character. Us, the consumers, get you mixed up sometimes with the character, and we will
Hmm.
walk up to you and let you know we didn't like the character, or we love the character, or we can relate to the character in some sort of way. So for you, is it an easy task?
Uh, that's a interesting question right there. If it was easy, I don't think it would, you know, be an industry where a lot of people necessarily make it. But I will definitely say there are challenges depending on the character. Um, I'll be honest with you, what I still struggle with is like crying on the spot.
Mm,
I don't know what it is, but when it comes to those type of roles, I am not that strong at. And yes, I've been to workshops, but that is probably one of my biggest challenges. But other than that, I pretty much got it. But yeah, it can be challenging depending on the character role sometimes. I usually like to research, watch videos, kind of get the backstory of the character. Because if you can relate to the character, it makes it a lot easier to, switch into that person, if that makes sense. So that's kind of my techniques of how I get myself there and, change into that person.
Absolutely. And my next question is on the art of storytelling. Because being an actor, you are telling someone's story. You are putting yourself in someone's shoes. That character
Yes.
doesn't have a personality. You are literally having to walk and breathe as you're reading your script. You are literally breathing life into that character. You are a walking vessel for that character. So my next question would be, if you retold your life as a myth or a legend, what would be the main lesson in your story?
Consistence, passion, and
Mm,
just being relentless. You know,
yeah.
it's, the biggest thing I've ever done was Outer Banks. If you haven't seen that show on Netflix, I'm on episode one, season one. Um, I played paramedic. At the time, I didn't have braids, so you probably won't recognize me. And it was a little role, but it's been a uphill battle to get back to that type of exposure. So luckily, I stayed consistent. I just constantly uh, maintain um, staying active. That's the number one key in this world because if you let the stress and the doubt get to you and then you take a break, that's when you actually miss your opportunity, your blessing, as my mom liked to call it. So yeah, there's another show called Tax Season. It's on primetime TV. I play the role of Half Pint. I was really excited to be a part of that production. Um, I don't want to butcher the name of the production, but uh, the show or series is called Tax Season, so you can definitely check that out. And we got some other things coming up. I was also part of another production called Pretty Girls. I know if they're watching, it's gonna be like, "How are you not saying my name?" I just don't want to butcher their name, so I can definitely tell you the shows and the films. Um, yeah, there's a couple more things coming. So,
Pretty
even
girl,
though it's been
you
an
know,
uphill battle.
that's coming next year, if I'm not mistaken. That's Felicia Geechee
Yeah, there you
Rivers.
go. Help me out, right?
And I've had some of your cast members here on the show.
Yeah.
Katrina Jean.
Mm,
Who else did I just recently had on? Chris Vaden yesterday.
yep.
A few of them have been on my show. So that's how I know about it. I'm familiar with Felicia's work. She's outstanding
Okay.
as a director, as a
Yeah,
creative, a
she's
black
amazing.
woman, just bringing to life and telling real life stories. And that's key
Hmm.
and crucial. So that's why I asked that question because as an actor, as a creative, and even as an artist, you have to make sure that you are breathing life into the character because there are so many people in real time who can resonate with that character's story. Yeah,
That's very true. Yes.
absolutely. My next question is because this ties into art as well too. Shout outs to Pure Luck Salon. Hey girl. In your opinion, what's one way technology could redefine what it means to be human? Because we're now, and I'm pretty sure you've seen it as well too, where AI is now replacing real actors. So, Sterling, what are your thoughts?
I just got to roll with the punches. I've learned, at least at this point in my life, that sometimes you just kind of got to go with the flow. With everything going in the world right now, for me, it's more of a distraction if I question the things that go on around me, just as long as it's not affecting me personally. But if honestly, with AI, I don't think it's going to cut too much into that world. Maybe with the special effects, maybe like fighting scenes, stuff like that. But um, I forgot what was happening in Hollywood. I think it was called like writer's block. I don't want to
Writing
butcher the
strike,
term.
SAG.
Yeah, there
Oh,
you
yeah,
go. Yeah.
it was a
So,
big deal. And I've interviewed a lot of actors, and yeah, they weren't too happy about it.
Yeah.
They were saying, until we reach an agreement, until we reach a deal, we're not doing anything because we put in all of this work, decades of years worth of work, and we're having to do this and navigate here.
Hmm.
So, but I interviewed an artist that his work was so many. I mean, he's an icon in his own right. B Slade. B
Hmm.
Slade has worked with everybody from Janet Jackson to Patti LaBelle to Shaka Khan. And just recently, this interview was not too long ago, and he was saying that you have to take advantage of the tools. AI can be
Yeah.
a scary thing. Hi, Chrissy. Hi, favorite. How are you? Hi, everyone. Welcome as you're just coming in. Ladies and gentlemen, Sterling Gathers. We are here with actor and artist Sterling Gathers, and we are talking about how AI is replacing actors. And I'm pretty sure you guys have seen the article. Technology in itself is scary, but I must say this: use that tool to your advantage. Like you guys know, whenever I do my lineup for Friday, I always post that image at the end. That image was created by a Spoken Creator. Shout outs to Dante's Spoken Creator. You guys know which image I'm talking about. And this was for a single he did. He dedicated a whole song to me. And he did this using AI. So, yes, and yes, it matches my hair color today. But that is me. He took it and he created it in my likeness. And I said, "Oh my gosh, she looks just like me." I didn't know it was me until he told me. He said, "No, that's you. That's you. The whole song is dedicated to you." So use AI to take advantage of it. Use it for
Hmm.
your own creativity. Use it to market, put yourself out there if you're giving it permission. But if you're using someone else's likeness, that's a problem. That's how
Yeah.
I want us to do that. So make sure that you are getting permission. Make sure that they're giving you the green light before you do anything. But other than that, take advantage of it, have fun with it, and do what Dante did because I've never done it. He just took a photo of me and created that beautiful thing and my likeness. And I fell in love with it. And I said, okay, let's use it for the promo at the end of every lineup because I always drop my lineups who's coming on the show every
Hmm.
Friday. And yes, favorite Trini, it is scary. Then now, as far as the musical aspect of Sterling here as an artist as well, they have taken. You've mentioned Michael Jackson. I'm a big Prince fan.
Hmm.
Prince had a very distinct voice. I have
Yeah.
a very distinct speaking voice as well too. And I can say this: uh, they are now taking other artists' music, like let's say, for instance, Dua Lipa. They can
Yeah.
take a Dua Lipa song and they can put Prince's vocals on. So favorite
Yeah.
Britney is
Yeah.
right. It is scary. Another one of my favorite artists is Aaliyah, the late Aaliyah Hope.
Hmm.
Just like how she had a very soft vocal ability. And you can take do a Lipa or you can do a Janet song and you can put Aaliyah's vocals on it, and it sounds just like her. It's very scary. And yeah, you're gonna have some hell on your hands because their estate does not play. The same as Michael Jackson, the same as who's another artist that I love? Whitney Houston. I'm a big Whitney fan.
Hmm.
Been a Whitney fan since I was 8 years old. Loved her. Loved her in The Bodyguard. Loved her in Wait and Exhale. Well, I had to wait till I became a teenager to watch those movies because it was too grown up. But love Whitney Houston. And her estate does not play. Every artist that is no longer here, their estate, you're going to have to get clearance from their estate. And that leads me to the next part of the conversation, which is owning your masters and being an independent artist. Because Sterling here, you said you signed to a independent label, and a lot
Hmm.
of artists are doing their music independently. And I've sat
Yeah.
with so many independent artists here on my platform, and so many artists that were signed to labels like Motown, like Columbia, and so many others, just to name a few. And they say, you know what? I'm going to go and I'm going to do my own thing. And Prince was a genius at that. For
Hmm.
those of you who did not know, he went and he started his own record label. And guess who was up under that record label? Shaka Khan. Shaka
Oh
Khan
wow.
was right up under his record label, yeah. And this is around the time because when he was signed, he was with Warner Brothers. And Warner
Hmm.
Brothers or Maverick, you had Madonna under the label as well too.
Oh, wow,
So
I didn't know that.
you had Prince and Madonna. But see, a lot of record companies are no longer. They're no longer here. Like even Mariah Carey had her label at the time. She had a girl group by the name of Allure signed to. You know, they did the song with 112, and I had the pleasure of sitting down with 112, and they did that beautiful ballad, "All Cried Out," which was a oh my God, I forgot her name. Lisa did originally, and then it
Okay.
just went, and they took it to a whole nother level with it when they did the duet together. But they were signed at the time. I think it was called what, Crave Records, and a lot of these record labels are no longer. So these artists are having to shop around and find like, hey, what am I gonna do? I was signed to the label, and if you were, especially if you're a girl group, and at the time you had 702, you had Destiny's Child, TLC, which is one of my favorites, Love and Vogue, Love and Vogue, will always Love and Vogue, and little tidbit here, a lot of the fashions that I wear here on the show are inspired 9 times out of 10 by In Vogue or either TLC. Like they were a big style influence for me growing up. But I say that to say this. So many artists are now having to bite the bullet and say, okay, if a label's not gonna, meet my demands, because even when you're releasing an album, and here's a little
Hmm.
story for TLC, they went bankrupt, they signed a bad contract. We know how it all went. Read the fine print. My brother K Tooks had the pleasure of sitting down with Taj from SWV, and she said the same exact thing that I'm saying, which is if you're going to sign a contract, make sure that you are reading over it with a fine tooth comb and make sure that there are no corners left unturned. And this is for people who are just getting into the music business. It's important that
Hmm.
you know these things because there's
Of
so
course,
many big
yes.
artists out here. Like, who's one? Oh, who's one? Even Toni Braxton. But you guys remember her story of how
Hmm.
she had to file for bankruptcy as well too. So it's important you know these things as you're getting into the business. You're young, you don't know. You don't know any
Yeah.
better. You're looking at the glitz and glam and just making music. But the other thing is you got to learn the business aspect of it too. Learn about owning your masters. Prince was a genius at that. I can guarantee you, him, Michael Jackson, and Aaliyah have music in the vaults that is not released. Trust me when I tell you, y'all. And that's because their estate is good. They have. Let's go to the hip hop side. Tupac too. Yep, Tupac too. I can guarantee you that. And how do I know so much? Because I've done my research. I should have been a music manager, but no, music is not my cup of tea. I just know the aspect because I educate myself and I do a lot of reading. And I understand even for hosting a talk show, hosting a platform, you have to understand it as well too. Now, I'm not backed by a big corporation. That means ABC, CBS. No, everything you see here is unapologetically me, and I'm responsible for it. And if I say anything, it's a liability on me. So I have to make sure that I'm being careful what I say and how I say it in delivery. But so far,
Hmm.
so smooth sailing. It's been like a dream. And I
That's
say
great.
that because I've educated myself. My mother and my family, they didn't have any show business experience. I've had to do the research myself. And not only that, but learn from my peers, like my brother K Tooks. Y'all know my brother Demario King Jobs. Y'all seen him out there on YouTube. Yes, I love me some Demario King Jobs. And my other colleague, Conscious TV, y'all have seen Conscious as well too. They have been out before me. I didn't came in the scene until late. I started right after high school. And I didn't know
Mm.
what I was doing. And that comes from learning from them, watching and studying them. So that's how I got the understanding of hosting a talk show, hosting a panel, hosting discussions. And it runs so smoothly just from understanding them. Even my colleague Bubs the God as well, too. So the musical aspect, which gears up to the question that I want to ask Sterling here. How do you feel about the rise of independent artists coming out and saying, I'm going to go independent. I don't want to sign to a label. I'm going to do it my own. Because trust and believe, you're going to have to spend some money. It's
I
definitely going to
was
be
I
money
was actually
involved.
about to get into that. Yeah. Yeah,
Come
it's a
on, y'all.
lot. The ocean is a
So,
lot deeper than you think. Yes. My
what do
loopholes.
you think about the rise of up and coming independent artists?
I think right now it's a great time. It just kind of seems like, mainstream music, in my opinion, it's kind of divided, if that makes sense. So now, like, Christian rap is also starting to become a big thing. People are getting to a point nowadays where they really just want to be able to relate to something or someone. So, the mainstream is it's kind of like turning into just not necessarily everyone being the same, but everyone's kind of just talking about the same stuff. And I think that's where my motivation came from because I kind of want to give you a side of my story that you really don't hear day by day, but I'm also living a normal life at the same time. Um, Back to the music, for me, especially the costs, it's a lot of loopholes with beats. And luckily, I took uh, advice from the first producer that I worked with, Jordan. Ah, man, I suck at names. But yeah, that's also a studio located in Somerville. I should have started making notes so I could remember everyone's name and everything like that. But I'm new, so we're just gonna roll with it. Um, the beats can get very expensive, like very expensive, because when I first started out, I was just like buying the exclusives, right? But the
Yeah.
whole time for me, I'm thinking, oh, this is like ultimate exclusive, so I own this. And then once I got signed, they're like, no, 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 you're gonna have to go back and talk to those original producers for those beats, so then you can own it. So then I started learning, like, when you lease something, usually it has a cap off of like if you get up to 300 listens on Spot 300,000 listens on Spotify or SoundCloud, at that point, if you don't fully own it, now you're potentially breaching that contract. So then it gets into the copyrights, all that stuff, and also studio time. So for me, the best advice that I got from Jordan was to not put anything out yet. So these original three songs that I made, I sat on that for about like a year and a half. Like nobody really knows or heard any of it. So now I'm signed. I'm pretty much like still learning in the process how to go about it. So now we're, going through the process of getting the clean cut version so it can be set up for like, radio, stuff like that. Then also flipping it where, live performances. A lot of
Oh
people
yeah.
don't realize, it's best to just have the hooks. But me, I'm sitting home watching it on like TV or YouTube, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is simple. I just put in my headphone and tell DJ play a song, and like, no, 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 no. Like technically, you need three different versions of that original song. Then the terminology of stems, you know, I didn't realize how important the original stem files are. If you don't have the original stems, then that makes it harder to edit it to get the three different versions, the clean cut version, the regular version, and then also the performance version, with just the hook. So it's definitely a deep ocean of knowledge that I'm still picking up on and still, understanding while I'm in the process.
Absolutely. And I love what Chrissy just said. Some of the mainstream music is microwavable, just a bunch of noise. But you have some artists out here who who are coming out who I mean, they've been doing it since their childhood,
Hmm.
singing since childhood. I give you a prime example, Coco Jones, who's one of my favorite artists out right now. I love Coco Jones. I love Duran Bernard. I love artists who have substance. Avery Wilson is another. B Slade, of course. And there's so many. Lucky Day is another one. October London. We be here listing them all day. Even on the hip hop side, you got Doja Cat, artists who are giving you substance. Of course, Cardi. Of course, Meg. You have to be doing something tangible.
Hmm.
And that is the music that has the substance that will draw people in, like, okay, what is she giving? What is different? And we now live in a day and age where technology, whereas back in the day you said you're a 90s baby, I'm a 90s baby as well too. So we know about BMG Music Group and all of the cassettes. You could buy this many cassettes and CDs for, was it
Mm-hmm.
a
The
penny or so?
MP3s,
Chrissy,
yep,
help me out if I'm right, y'all. Let me know. Or you could actually go into the record store and the artist would be signing the
yep.
albums, pulling out the album jacket, reading the credits, who wrote what for what. So that feeling is what's missing. We now live in a day and age where it is about how many streams you can get. And
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people, we become accustomed to it. Again, that's the power of technology. It's all about streams right now. Whereas before, you could go and get that big, y'all remember the big Billboard magazine that used to come out, and you could flip through and see what song is number one, what song is charted this week and this week. The big Billboard magazines that used to come out. Now it's on social media, it's digital. So you can go online and you can check it out. So I think that is what's missing, that nostalgia, that old school feeling of music, being able to go in the store and play your favorite song. And they would have the headphones connected to like the machine and you could select whatever number. So I mean, we've come a long way from that. And I think that's what's missing, that substance, that feeling. The 90s gave us such great music. The 80s gave us such great music and so many great artists. And some of these artists are no longer here. Like I said, Whitney Houston, Tina Marie, is so many. We'd be here listing them all day. And that's what I think a lot of people have to understand, you know. Definitely, and as far as copyright and doing samples, make sure that you're getting the clearance from a lot of these artists out here before you go and you do a song. And I'll
Yep.
give you an example. Cardi B used Janet's vocals for one of her songs on her album, which is Principle, and I love that song. And she's rapping over, so she's got the clearance. So make sure that you are getting the clearance from these artists before you do any music using a sample from their song. Remember Robin Thicke and Pharrell got in trouble for blurred lines?
Mm-hmm.
Do y'all remember that? And how big that was? Because it's Marvin Gaye. So make sure that you are doing your research, make sure that you are doing your homework, and make sure that you are giving credit to these artists' family, to the estate family. You give them credit, and if they give you the green light, you're going ahead and use it. Because you get in big trouble for that. They don't
Oh
play,
yeah.
these artists want their coin. So that's what I'm gonna say to that. Now, as far as the artist development, it was, who was it? It was Coco from SWV. When Milli Vanilli got in trouble, y'all remember that big scandal? When they got in trouble for lip syncing, record labels made you actually come in and sing a cappella to make sure you could sing. And it was Coco from SWV. She said that when they was auditioning, because it was originally supposed to be four women in the group, but and their name was originally supposed to be TLC, a little back history. And yes, Taj can back me up on that because she said it in one of the Hair Story interviews that they did when they were breaking down their history and how the group got formed. Their name was originally supposed to be TLC, but they couldn't because it was taken already. And it was supposed to be four girls in the group, but the record label wanted three. And they had to sing a cappella to prove that they can sing. Literally, a lot of artists had to do that because of the whole Milli Vanilli ordeal. Yep. So I think that's what's missing. To Chrissy's point, I think that is what people are looking for, that substance. Being able to, you don't even need a backing track with you singing along with it. You can do it a cappella. And I can give you an example. Gladys Knight, remember when the Versus was going on? And Gladys Knight put the what was it, like the karaoke version or the instrumental version to Midnight Train to Georgia.
Mm.
Word for word. Didn't need any backing vocals. Sound the same as the record. So that's what I think a lot of people are missing, that feeling, that old school feeling, you know. And I've seen Michael do it from time to time. Say, tell the backing to like cut. We don't need the music. Let's do it a cappella. Or something would go wrong. The music would go out and they would do it a cappella. Whitney's done it, and I think Diana Ross, who's one of my favorites, love Diana. I'm a big Diana fan. And she would do it as well too, and she would have pass the microphone out, and the audience would know it word for word. So I mean, it's all about crowd participation. It is all about crowd interaction as well too, and that's what I think. are the key things that make an excellent artist. Being able to have that bond with your supporters, your viewers, because we, the consumers, are listening, and the music gets inside of us, and it's deep and it's personal. And that was another question I wanted to ask you as well, too, Sterling. For you as an artist, as a writer, where do you pull the inspiration from?
I think just life experiences.
Mm.
That's where my motivation comes from a lot of times. Like, let's say I have a rough day at work or a rough day at set, on set, and you know, I've learned being able to put your energy towards writing or whatever, hobby, working out, it's so healthy for your mental. So that's where a lot of my motivation comes from. Sometimes, if I get a certain beat from the producer or I just hear something on YouTube, because I'm like a YouTube dinosaur, which I have to stop doing that because on YouTube, that's people use samples. So you were definitely right on what you were talking about earlier about like, getting that whole copyright and getting in
Oh yeah,
trouble for using samples from other things, even though it was made 10, 12 years ago. I mean, that is still somebody else's work. So that's where I get my motivation from, just life experience.
absolutely, absolutely. And I think a lot of people can take from writing. If you are an artist, you are a writer. And I'll give you another one of my female artists. She's no longer here. Nina Simone. She said this: the job of the artist is to reflect the times. So that is one of my favorite quotes from her, and that is still with me till now. And as an artist, as a creative, as someone being vocal on the front lines or whatever it may be, you tell the story of the people, whatever people are feeling. You put on a song, and a song can take you to a place you've never been before. And I can give you three different examples um, of a couple of my artists. Uh, when I listen to Sade, and I'm a big Sade fan, I love Sade. She takes you to an escape, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people
Mm,
can correlate to that. When you put on a Sade song, it can be Smooth Operator, Sweetest Taboo, whatever it is, she can take you to a place where it's like, I don't have to worry about a care in the world. I know I'm safe with her. I'm okay with her. And just her words, if you go and you look at the lyrics as well, too. Bulletproof Heart is another one of my favorites, and I feel like that's underrated, and I wish she would perform that song more. It would be a dream to see her in concert. Another artist, let's go to the male side because I've been naming mostly women. Uh, Maxwell, and I
mm,
feel Maxwell is underrated. He does not get enough, just do enough flowers. Now, like, Urban Hangs Sweet, I can listen to that album on repeat. Maxwell makes you feel sexy. He makes you feel sexy. He makes you want to get that cognac and sit down and talk with your significant other. He takes you to a place where it's very intimate, where you're sharing that with your significant other. Um, let's go to a happier side, because you got intimate, you've got an escape, and then you've got one where it's just like, okay, I'm gonna add a little. I'm gonna give you another male artist. I want to say Bilal. Bilal is another one, and then you guys have seen him do the Prince tribute at the BET Awards, and absolutely, he left no crumbs. No
mhm,
crumbs was left when he did that Prince tribute. Sounded just like him. And I say that he's spicy and he's soulful because you feel it. You feel it. And again, that sexy feeling like, ooh, okay. So you have three different emotions and moods, and an artist can make you feel a certain way. When I'm sad, another emotion, I said three, but another emotion when I'm sad or I just want to reflect, I put on a Yolanda Adams album
mm,
because Yolanda Adams, she has the power that God has given her, an ability to give her to encourage people. This too shall pass. That's one of my favorites from her. When I'm on my darkest days, I put on that song Sterling and I bawl like a baby. Do you hear me, y'all? Like Yolanda, she has the power to make you literally cry. make you literally sit there, think, reflect, and also be in tune with the spirit. So if you want to go to the spiritual realm or aspect, she has the power to do that. And there are so many other female gospel artists and gospel artists in general that can take you there. Tremaine Hawkins, who I feel doesn't get brought up enough. We know about Shirley Caesar. We know about uh, who's another Vicky Winans, but Tremaine Hawkins did it for me. So yeah, I mean, every artist that I just named take you to a place you've never been before. So when I say when Nina Simone said a job of the artist to reflect the times what a person is feeling, we could put on an album, which is leading me to my next question here for Sterling. What have been the top five artists for you that have changed your life, or top five albums in general that have changed your life?
Oh man, so you got me
It's
because
it's
I
like
don't
going through a
remember the names.
discography because they have so many.
Yeah, there's a lot. I wouldn't say there's an exact album necessarily. I would just say the time period. For me, it was definitely like mid to early 2000s.
Mm.
Because when I think about music, I think about like my childhood, like waking up Sunday mornings, my mom's playing Kurt Franklin or Luther
Oh,
Vandross. You know, those are what I go back into if I'm thinking about like a time period of music that kind of gave me inspiration or motivation still to this day.
absolutely. And Chrissy said CC Winans. Oh, Alabaster Box. Alabaster Box. Y'all know about Alabaster Box. If not that one, then what's her other album? Uh Everlasting Love. Number six on Everlasting Love. I'm like, is this CC Winans? If I listen to it, number six. The song is called Slipping. And it's more so like it sounds very R&B. You wouldn't expect this from her. That was, I guess, when she was trying to cross over in the R&B realm. You know, Kirk Franklin was doing it, and then she tagged along and started doing it. So if you like Kirk Franklin in that era and that time, you'll love the Everlasting Love album. And number six,
Okay,
Slipping, did it for me. I'm like, okay. It's not even a gospel song. It's like straight up R&B. Listen to it. Trust me. Head on over to the YouTube and listen to it. CC
I
Winans
got you.
and the song is called Slipping, and I think it's number six on Everlasting Love. And the Clark sisters, they will always go down in music history as one of the greatest female gospel groups in history. Like I've mentioned the ones who are on the R&B side, like TLC, En Vogue, Escape, SWV, Destiny's Child. We know about them, but the Clark sisters, yeah. If you want to go to the gospel side, they definitely carved out a path for other gospel female groups like the Trinity 5-7. Y'all remember them? They're no longer, and each woman in the group did their thing vocally. So yeah, but we're going to shift gears here, looking to the future, because we're always talking about reinvention and what's next to come. And even as we go forward in this current year, in this current landscape, because before you know it, 2026 will be here. Like, we're
Yeah.
now in the month of October, November, December, boom, January 2026. What is something that you're looking forward to in the future, and what's something you think the future generations might want to do differently?
Uh, I've been listening to this podcast the other day, and they were talking about how social media. You know how everyone phones they just start to just catch on to the normal videos that you watch,
Yeah.
but I guess the statistics is saying that the most rage bait videos are usually at the top of your news feed. So then they were also breaking this down, and I'm just going off what the podcast was saying.
Yeah.
They're saying now that studies are showing that it's getting so bad because people in the comment section are going back and forth and everything like that based off of whatever video they just watched, that people are putting more time into that over being intimate with their significant other. So I think that's which is very interesting. So for me, I think people should just kind of just get some fresh air, you know. not be cooped up inside the house and just strolling through videos. There's another study that actually shows that I forgot what it does. It's not good for your brain to continuously just like nonstop stroll, wipe through the video feed and, you know, for like hours and hours on end. They also say that that takes away of just being normal and being sociable in regular society. So I definitely believe we should kind of, take a step out, go for a walk, maybe go to the beach, something with nature. It's actually very refreshing if you just take a moment outside and just enjoy the fresh air. Because even me, I try not to be on Facebook or, you know, Instagram or anything too long because I can feel it literally draining from me. So I put it down. I either go to the gym or I write something. Just do something to stay active so you don't get into that world.
I'm so glad you touched on that because I've been touching on that throughout this week as well too. Mental health and unplugging. Also, October 10th, this Friday is Mental Health Awareness Day. So make sure Mental Health Awareness Month. I'm sorry. Make sure that you are taking time out, unplugging, and being gentle to yourself because it is key, it is crucial, and it is also critical that you are being gentle to yourself. And I think technology, we become so consumed. We do what's called, and it's a name for it, it's called doom scrolling. We're always
Yeah,
scrolling down to see. As you said, you're right. That podcast was right that you were watching. That when we first log in, it's always a sort of bad news. When we're turning on our phone, it's a notification going off. And I've learned that even with keeping informed on what's going on in the world and hosting this platform and giving people the true, actual information, it can be exhausting for me too at times. So the first thing is I've been also exercising a lot myself lately. Every morning it's like a ritual for me. First thing when I get up in the morning, I start every day at 7 a.m. But
oh, that's good.
before
That's
I do
better than
that,
me.
I have my conversation with God. I do my morning affirmations, my devotion, and then I go and I do my exercise. And that is clarity for me. Yeah, even as I was exercising over the weekend as well too, I found myself in a safe space. It was an abandoned building, and I just sat there and it's me, and I just, I could scream and I could do whatever I wanted to do because the building was vacant, and I was by myself. And I encourage everybody out here to find a space where you can scream, where you can unleash, where you can just anything that you have bottled up or pent up inside, whatever you're feeling, I am wanting you to go out and just let it go because you can't keep stuff bottled up inside. And
Yeah, you
doom
got to put that
scrolling is
energy
not
somewhere.
going to help
Yes.
because you're waiting on a good result, but it's nothing good that's going to come from the doom scrolling. It's going to bring sadness. It's going to bring depression. So I want to encourage people to make sure that you are prioritizing and protecting your mental health and safe space. And not only that, but also establishing boundaries. Make sure that you are establishing boundaries and also making sure that you also take time out. Self care is definitely critical. And I think a lot of us, we've become so adapted to social media that we've lost sight of actual real life. So that's
Oh
why
yeah.
I asked Sherilyn that question earlier about how do you think technology is, made things for us in this current day and age. So it's key and it's crucial that you unplug if you need to. If you have to unplug and say, it's okay to not be okay. I don't feel my best today. I want to take time off. And I've heard people say I've had to unplug. I had an actor, not going to put his name out, and we had set this interview up back before we even got into the new year.
Mm,
And messaged me and said, I'm not interested in doing the interview, not the interview. He wanted to do it with me, but he said, I'm not interested in the industry anymore. I don't want to do it. It's no fun for me. God has led me to do a different calling. So he came
mm.
true. People are now coming to their senses. And when you sit and you reflect, you come true to yourself. And I think that's what a lot of people are doing now. they are coming to themselves and saying, does this make me happy? Does this make me sad? It's okay to question your emotions. Find out what are your triggers, what makes you tick. Because when you sit down and you evaluate things, you find out more about yourself. And I want to encourage everybody to prioritize and normalize your mental health. And that's especially for us as Black people, because we have been taught for so long what? If you grew up spiritual like I did, and I'm from South Carolina, so you know we got some tongue talking, devil
Oh yeah.
stomping, big hat wearing. I mean, the hats will be so big. Y'all watch that episode of Martin where he was just like, she got a whole fruit bowl on her head. The women would come in there with the big hats in the church,
Hmm.
tongue talking, devil stomping, hand clapping, feet tapping. Like that's real church right there. That's the type
Hmm.
of church that I grew up in. Old Lemon Creek down here.
The Holy
So
Ghost. Yeah.
yes, these women didn't play. They showed up in their Sundays best for God. They did not play. And the pastor would give his word as well too. And 9 times out of 10, I would be asleep during the sermon. When I was younger, because I remember my mom and my grandmama, we would go to church as a family. My mom, my grandma, my aunt, my cousins, my sister, and my brother as well. We would all go. And it was a tradition. But then as we got older, everybody just started finding and having their relationship with God or the one, the inner being or whoever, as they gotten older on their own. Yeah, I'm very spiritual. I believe in God. But I will say this, in the Black household, we've been taught that, just talk to God about it. My cousin, who I just recently had on the show, she said this, and she's an ordained minister because I have a couple ministers in my family. Faith without work is dead.
Mm.
God put therapists here for a reason. And God wants you to be able to go and talk to someone. Whereas we've been taught in the Black household, what goes on in this house stays in this house. If it's causing me trauma, if it's causing me pain, if it's haunting me, if it's terrorizing me, or in any sort of way causing me harm, I'm going to speak out about it. I'm not going to be quiet about it. I'm going to speak out and I'm going to talk to someone so that I can get the help I need, because 9 times out of 10, the IDE rate in the Black collective is going up. Mental health within the Black community is real, and we don't talk enough about it. And we've seen so many amazing artists. I give you an example. And she was beautiful. She was talented. Y'all know exactly. If we want to go into the musical realm, I feel like this woman, someone should play her in a bio and they need to do a story on her life. Phyllis Hyman. You become Phyllis Hyman. You become Michael Jackson. Trust, Michael Jackson had his demons to all of this fame, all of this superstardom. And a lot of people don't think it was conducive to his health. It was. Prince is another. You can have 1,500 fans, followers, whomever, a room full of people. And they love you genuinely less. Yes, they're there to see you, but you can still feel alone at the end of the day
Mm.
when you're going home. And that's how I feel sometimes when I'm done with my interviews. Like, it's just me and I can talk to my mom. But thank God for the likes of my brother K2, for the likes of Chrissy. Chrissy will text me out of the blue. I don't know if Chrissy's still here or not, but Chrissy would text me out of the blue, how you doing, Miss Stevie? My brother K Tooks would text me, sister, he doesn't see me on because I do this show 5 days a week, every day, Monday through Friday. And by the way, this is interview 888.
Oh wow.
So yes, we're well off on the road to 1,000 shows, and we're halfway there. Slow and steady wins the race. I haven't given up. I've been consistent. And K Tooks will call me if he doesn't see me on. He will say, sister, how you doing? How you doing? How's mom? Because he'll tease me. His mom is my mom, and my mom is his mom. And they both care about us genuinely. So if I'm not on, he will know and he will call or text every day. And if not him, then my girlfriend, my sis that I went to school with, Alicia, she will text me, hey sis, TGIS, or she'll send an exclamation point like sis. I'll be like, what? What I do? What I do? What I do? And it's just like, no, girl, I want to check on you to make sure you're good. And she checked on me. So that's what we have to do. Reach out to your neighbor and check on them. It's always good to have a outside opinion of things. It's always good to make sure. Yes, you can go and talk to family. Always talk to your elders. You're never too grown to go and talk to your elders. What the hell is wrong with you? We're never too grown to go and talk to our elders. My grandmother is 81 years old still, and when I tell you she has the spirit of a 20-year-old,
Mm.
let me tell y'all a story because, okay, this is serious health wise. Uh, I almost lost my grandmother, you know, but
Mm.
thank the Lord. Lord said, it's not her time yet. They found a blood clot inside her,
Oh
and they
wow.
had to go in and take it out surgically. She was in the hospital, and she stayed with my cousin for a few days. But God said it's not her time to go. She's still here, still kicking it up, still giving advice. I can call her, I can visit her, and I will see her also tomorrow as well too.
That's a
So
blessing.
I go and
That's a
I
blessing.
talk to her, and she gives me the best advice. And my grandmother's advice always stuck with me till now, being 31 years old. And it is, she said, put God first in everything you do. Don't ever
Mm.
forget where you came from. Remain humble. So that's why when somebody says they're from Carolina, I'm proud to be from Carolina. I'm proud to be a South Carolina girl. And I don't act as if I'm above or beyond because I've known that this business can do two things. It can chew you up and it can spit you out if you
Yes.
let it.
Yes.
So that's where the humbling of yourself comes in. And that's basically what my grandmother was saying. Humble yourself. Settle down. Love and look out for your neighbors. And thank the Lord I have people who can look out for me. So this ties into mental health, making sure that you go and you talk to your elders. But if you want that second opinion, also go and talk to a therapist as well too. And that therapist will have you looking inside an inward mirror like, okay, that therapist will ask you questions like, so why do you feel this way? What makes you feel this way? Why your feelings are valid. But tell me what is the reason? They'll make you go back and they will evaluate, make you kind of self evaluate. And it's always good to have conversations with yourself, self accountability. And I think for us as grown ups, we sometimes miss the mark as it pertains to self accountability. And I know I've done things I'm not proud of, and I'm being completely transparent and honest because we all have demons that haunt us. And I think that was the case with Phyllis Hyman and Prince. They're,
Mm.
it was conducive to their mental health. So make sure that you are being gentle to yourself, love on yourself, make sure that you are caring for yourself and caring for others as well too, and look out for your neighbor because you never know what a person's story could be or what they're going through if you don't sit down. We live in a day and age where it is based off of technology. And the power of technology can help you reach out to someone. And I think even with the pandemic, it was traumatizing for us because we wasn't able to be with our family and our loved ones. And especially if you were in the business like myself and Sterling here, you were on set 24/7. You couldn't go home because of the guidelines. And as much as you wanted to reach out and be able to hug your mom, kiss your mom, your loved one, your significant other, hug your nephews and nieces, whomever, you had to follow those protocols. And it felt a little lonely being able to quarantine and be away from your family. And it's like the walls are caving in, you know. But thank God for the likes of technology for how we're doing it now, where we can reach out, we can become creative, even for the holidays. When Christmas rolled around, I've seen people be as creative as this is to have family dinners on Zoom. You can do up to 100 people on there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I think is missing. Make sure that you have a valid, not a valid, but make sure that you have a strong circle of people that you can depend on and call whenever you feel like the walls are closing in, you're blacking out or lashing out. Talk to someone. Pick up the phone and call someone. There are people who care genuinely for you. So don't ever think that your feelings are not valid. And that goes to anybody as it pertains to mental health and struggle. So I'm glad that Sterling brought that up because I think for each and every one of us, we suffer some sort of trauma. Everybody's trauma is different. Everybody's story is different. And when my guests come here into my platform, that's why I call it the dollhouse. And I say, when we're on this journey, We're on this journey together. And when my guests come in, we rotate that pilot seat. Yes, I'm the head pilot and co-pilot, but I bounce back and forth. I let my guests get in that pilot seat because they're steering their story. They're telling their story. And I get in that passenger side, and then my guests get in the passenger side, and then I go back to the pilot seat, and then I go back to the passenger side. We bounce back and forth because we're sharing both parts of our story. And I know that everybody has a story to be told, and I make it imperative and abundant upon to make sure that we are sharing our story because you never know who and what it could touch. And that goes to each and every one of you watching on your phone, your tablet, or whatever. So you come here, you're always going to get some good information. You're always going to get great conversation that makes you sit and reflect. And Sterling, when I tell you, the audience will chime in and share their personal experiences. I'm like, wow, this is a safe space. You are safe with me, and I want to reassure you that. And that's why I call it the dollhouse. Because you're not going to get, of course, you're going to get the glam, you're going to get the fashion from me, of course. I'm going to give you a look. But I'm also going to give you some gems that I want to dress you with. Like you
Mm.
adorn a queen or a king, I'm going to adorn you with knowledge. I'm going to adorn you with love. I'm going to shower you with wisdom. My guests are going to shower you with wisdom and shower you with knowledge that they, of the business, whatever they want to know, that information, so that you can learn as well too for anybody. So, mental health, find that village, find that tribe, and make sure that you are surrounded by people who uplift you as well too. And that's something that I want to close out with that. Moving on, we're going to switch gears here because we are in the final closing hour of my convo here with Steerlin. We're going to do two games, and I do this with all of my guests. And the first one is called the Rapid Five. And I did it yesterday with Chris. I do it with all of my guests. My guests have to tell me five of their guilty pleasures. And I give you an example. For me, one of my guilty pleasures that I cannot live without, that I love to watch, is Unsolved Mysteries. That's one of my favorite shows. And I love Dennis Stack. Is it Robert Stack? It was Robert Stack. And I had a huge crush on him. So Robert Stack, Unsolved Mysteries, that's one of my guilty pleasures. If not that, then I love The Housewives of Atlanta. I love Candy. I love
Mm.
Nene. I love them all. Love Kenya. Love them all. So uh, some of your favorite things that you can't live without. If you had five things, what are your five things that you can't live without still?
Uh, well, first one, I reality TV. I need
Okay.
reality TV. Um, Second one, exercise, of course. Uh,
Yeah.
and third, some way to put the stresses in life into something. I think that's what really got me into doing the whole, acting, the music, but you get it. Football
Okay.
and my significant other. So I think that's about five things I can't live without.
Yes, yes, yes. All right, fashion dolls. Y'all know what time it is. Again, more vulnerability and transparency from me. So I'm going to pass it on down to Sterling here. And we're going to do something called Turn the Tables. It is no longer Style by Stevie, it is the Sterling Gathers show. So I am passing the microphone on down to
Uh-oh.
Sterling here. And this is where my guests get to ask me questions. And it's sort of like an icebreaker for any new faces that are just joining because I'm a new face to some and a familiar face to some as well too. So for my newest viewers, welcome as you come in. You'll get to know a little bit about me through Sterling's question. I have no clue what he's going to ask. So as many questions as he wants on anything, take it away. The Sterling Gather Show fashion. All right.
Oh man. I kind of feel like you touched on this earlier, but I guess what was the breaking point where you were like, you know what, I'm gonna go this route and start doing my podcasts or interviews? What really kind of made you jump to just get started with this journey that you're on?
Well, I would have to say for me, it was always when I was 8 years old. I remember when I was with my grandmother, and we were in the doctor's office one day, and
Mm,
I can remember it was one of the magazines at the time. Look at me. Well, we '90s babies, so we know about Ebony Jet. It was one of the magazines, and I can remember Tony Braxton was on the front cover,
mm,
and I blurted out, I said, "Grandma, look, it's Tony Braxton." She just gave me a look like, and then the next thing you know, she told my grandmother, "This baby can read." Told my mom, "This baby can read. This baby can read."
mm.
Years later, here I am in high school taking public speaking, and we have to recite the words to Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night Dream in front of the class.
Ooh,
I'm like, why are we nervous? And we know Shakespeare's writing is different than how we're talking right now. The
yeah.
average person who speaks English, their English is a little bit different. It's very funny uh, sounding and looking as you're reading it, but nailed it. I think I got like a 90, nailed it, executed it. And I was like, okay, that was the breaking point for me when I was like, okay, I can get used to this. I can get used to standing up and speaking in front of large crowds. And I do it so eloquently. I make my mistakes sometimes, but I always practice. So I always keep my nose in a book. I'm always reading and doing research. That's how I knew Starlings from Charleston because I did my research. Every interview, my guests are just impressed because I do my research, I do my homework, and I ask them, hey, is this true? Is this true? You got to do your research. That's what makes a great journalist.
Mm,
You have to make sure that you're presenting the truth and facts. And that's why I've been doing this for so long because and people love it because I give it my all, my authenticity, my transparency, my vulnerability. So I would have to say high school, which would have been what, 2013, 2013, public speaking, and then years later graduating in 2014. Years later, 2016 is Style by Stevie is being formed. And it wasn't really originally called Style by Steve. It was called
mm.
Weekdays Time. And y'all remember the soup that used to come on E, and I cannot remember his name, used to host that show. Soup, I think that was the name of the show. Soup, one of the two. The
Was it on
Daily Soup.
Oxygen?
It was on E. Remember E used to do
Yeah,
E
I remember. Yeah,
Hollywood.
I
I
thought
think
E
E
was
Hollywood.
like I could be thinking of
Yeah,
something else. I just remember Oxygen back at that time, but I could be wrong.
yeah.
Sorry.
And E, and I cannot remember the guy's name at this point. And I said, no, that sounds like something that they would. And I was flipping through a Vogue magazine, and I said, I can't take that name. And I was watching some old episodes of Ricky Lake also. I did a couple of things that day. And I was looking at her logo, the presentation, everything. And I said, Style by Stevie. That's
Mm,
it. It's catchy, it's different because when people see it, they think fashion instantly. And a lot of my guests that I've reached out to, they're just like, okay, what type of platform you got? And fashion, what we talking about fashion? I'm like, we're gonna talk about a number of things. It's a lifestyle. Style by Stevie is a lifestyle. You're gonna get information. You're gonna get entertainment. You're gonna get glamour. You're gonna get fashion from me, of course. And you're gonna get you're gonna take away something that other talk shows aren't giving you, and that's something revolutionary that people aren't doing. You're mixing and you're merging all of these things into this gumbo. Because you know, when you get a gumbo, you got your shrimp in there, you got corn, you got crab legs, whatever you want to throw into your gumbo. If for my Louisianans out there, or my New Orleans folks out there, you know, if it's a gumbo, it's going to have a little bit of everything in it. So I said, my show has to have something different. And so I brainstormed, and that's how the baby was now the logo, because I know people love the logo. It was inspired by Ricky Lake. It's a nod to Ricky Lake because if you go and you look
mm,
at her, that eye had like an arrow and it was pointing in an opposite direction. My
mm,
eye looks more so like a newspaper font, but she was actually the inspiration behind it. So again, as Sterling said in the beginning of our conversation, that nod to the '90s, that nostalgia, is what I think a lot of people miss. So when I was creating and developing this, brainstorming in my room, I said I have to give something that people will tune into, something tangible. I don't care if it's 3 viewers, 10 viewers, 15. They go back and they watch those replays, and that brings me joy. Because 9 times out of 10, people are at work or getting their kids out of school. But to make a long story short, that's how Style by Stevie was birthed and formed and created. How I knew I wanted to do it. I always wanted to be a talk show host. Always wanted to be a talk show.
That's what's up.
Yes.
I guess last question, because yeah, you hear my dog barking in the back, so I don't know who's
Uh oh.
outside. Um, I think the last question would be, what would be your goals for next year, like production wise? Like, do you have goals on like, for me when I see you do this, my mind already starts going crazy. Like, man, I can definitely see her like, having like, whole setup. I do know camera people. So, I'm just curious of your journey just as well as you are mine. Like, what is your goal for 2026?
2026. That's right, brother. You better claim it. Thank you. Again, I've been shouting you out throughout this whole interview, and I modded you as well too, moderated you as well too. So shout out to my brother K2. Uh and by the way, he's ahead of me. He's almost at 1,000 shows and videos. So y'all make sure that y'all go and check him out. He's way ahead. And he's been doing it longer. I didn't come on the scene until 2016. And so I've learned from him. And he was like, "You study me?" I said, "Yes, I study. I sit back and I observe." And by the way, I'm a Scorpio. So Scorpios, we sit back in the cut, chilling, and we observe everything. um, and let me answer still those questions. Let me get to it. Where do I see myself in 2026? I see myself, and you said it, production. I would love to step behind the lens and produce and write
Mm.
for other platforms as well too. And I would love to. I mean, I love hosting the show. I love what I do. I love hosting and communicating, having great conversations. But I want to step behind the lens. I want to produce. I want to write. I want to direct as well too. Because being in this business, you can't just be in one lane. You have to do more. You have to have multiple coals in the fire. And who said that was Candy Birds? She said when her group disbanded at the time, Escape. She said, "I'm gonna go and I'm gonna write for other artists." And what did she do? She became a Grammy Award winning hit maker. She wrote No Scrubs for TLC, and a lot of people don't give her credit for that enough. She wrote Bills, Bills, Bills for Destiny's Child. So she had the pleasure of working with Beyonce. So I mean, and so many other artists from Whitney Houston to Donna Summer. So I mean, the list goes on and on. You have to have multiple streams of outcome, of income. And that's what I would love to do, direct and produce. Another thing I see for 2026 is Drew Barrymore. I watched her talk show, and Drew Barrymore, and I think it was Ellen, and of course Oprah. They have their merch. They have magazines in the store. They have their home and kitchenware. And that Jessica Simpson, even though she's not a talk show host, she's an international music artist, and she has her merchandise in the fashion and beauty realm. That's what I would love to do. I would love to tap into all arenas: beauty, uh, kitchen, home decor. I would love to tap into all of those arenas. So that's where I see myself for 2026.
Okay.
Yes, yes, yes.
Speaking in existence, goals, goals, goals.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. So we are now at the end, Fashion Dolls. I can't keep Sterling, but final thought before we let you go. Are there any gems that you would give to independent artists or just anybody in general looking to follow and chase their dreams?
Well, I want to go back to that quote you had used earlier, faith without work, and I may butcher it. Faith without work is, man, I
Faith
wish I could
without
remember
work is
that quote
dead.
you used.
Yes.
Yes, yes. Having faith in yourself, because, it always starts with you. You got to have faith in yourself in order for other people to then jump on that bandwagon and also have faith in your journey. And most importantly, just ignoring the outside distractions. staying focused in the midst of madness, and also just keeping your mental with everything that's going on in the world, social media, I would say just people, you know, staying focused and continue to work at your craft amongst all the other distractions that goes on around you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I will close today's show with today's final thought from Alan Watts. Alan Watts says this: the only way to make sense out of change is to plunge into it and move with it, enjoying the dance. And I know that change can be scary. Stepping out, as we're seeing, as Sterling just said, with the world shifting, that paradigm, the atmosphere, the world is turning upside down, is key. And it's a quote from Rihanna that goes like this. She said, focus on getting to the finish line, but do not focus on the chaos. And of course, be vigilant, be aware of your surroundings, where you're going, and this climate that we're in. We're living in some dangerous, scary times. But I want you to remain hopeful. I want you to also keep your head up and stay focused. If you got a business that you're focusing on, or uh, uh, let's see, an artist that you're managing, whatever it is that you're doing, stay focused on that. I love to do vision boards. So plan your life ahead. You are the author, you are the editor, you are the co-writer, you are everything of your life. So if you're doing writing a book or publishing, make sure that you're telling your story. Share everything with the world, because you never know who it can impact and how it can change their lives. And I want you all to remember that, fashion house. And that's what I would
Hmm,
close the show. So before
that's
we
dope.
let you go, where can everyone follow you and check you out, Sterling? And any upcoming well, you did say that in the beginning. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So where can everyone follow you and check you out?
Facebook, Sterling Gathers, my IMDb, not to be, fancy or anything, but you can Google me, Sterling Gathers. That pretty much has all the footages or most of the footages that I've been on. Don't forget to check out tax season and also be on the lookout for Pretty Girls because I think that's also going to be on Amazon Prime and Tubi, if I'm not mistaken. Um, and my Instagram, Sterlo underscore G.
And my brother says he loves your energy and your vibe.
Thank you. Thank you.
And thank you, Sterling. This was such a great conversation. When I spoke with you earlier today, I said we're going to have a dynamic time. And hopefully, this conversation today can impact some people's lives. And I want you all to walk away with just knowing that you have a sense of creativity. It's in you. We all have some sort of magic within us. And we know we're just like magic as kids. No, you have something. That light, that magic is inside of you. Don't ever forget it. Put your creativity to use and use your resources and tools around you. Tomorrow, joining me, we have another music artist, because we sat with one today, Sterling here, and we have another music artist coming on tomorrow. Damian Orell joins me. So make sure you guys tune in at 4 p.m. Eastern here on the gram on Style by Stevie. And head on over and subscribe to Style by Stevie if you have not. What are you waiting for, darling? Like, go and check it out. It is so many great conversations that you guys can catch up on and binge watch from the beginning to now to then. All right, fashion dolls? I love you. Please be safe. And I will see y'all tomorrow. Talk to you later.